is Lauren Young, and this is my behavior research on PBIS, on positive behavioral interventions and supports. So first things first, a little bit of background history on this application. It was developed by researchers at the University of Oregon in the 1980s. There was a need for an effective behavioral interventions for students with behavioral disorders. So first, the researchers began doing a series of demonstrations, research studies, and evaluated different students to try and figure out what would work. So they directed towards prevention, research-based practice, database, decision-making, school-wide systems. I noticed that really worked out, and social skill instruction, so everything team-based. Okay, so here to start out is a few visual concepts of what this is. So we'll start on the left. This all comes together, of course, what I said, the data, practices, system, equity, outcomes, so social competence and academic achievement, supporting student behavior, supporting staff behavior, support decision making. It all comes together in this. And so this one is based off of 3 tiers. The first tier supports all students, second tier, some, and third are few. We'll go over more of those details in later slides. And this is just a funny joke that I saw of a teacher, and I put, do you have an idea of how this will go? Talking about the different tiers, as you're building up. Okay, so we're going to start off with the 5 different elements that I just showed in the first visual with the circles. Okay, so equity. They have to have an aspect of culture and supporting and implementing, adapting to meeting all students' needs. And then desegregating data by student group to ensure success. So we are not ruling students out because of race or whatever, but we have to be knowledgeable that, that might be an issue. And systems, so including teaming, training, and coaching. We have to work in systems. And we have to support both students and educators. That is both, and can't have one without the other. You got to support both. And data. So this is all pretty much data-based. It's used to monitor and evaluate all outcomes on all 3 tiers. So the data, it will show when students need to be taken up to tier 2, tier 3. This entire thing is pretty much data-based. Okay, so here's part 2, the last 2 elements. So practices. This is what you're implementing in your classroom, and is very critical to supporting students and educators. And you have to create a positive classroom environment, good classroom vibe. You have to practice those things so that we produce positive outcomes. Okay, and big one, outcomes. That is the ultimate goal of this entire project. So it's to improve outcomes. This could also be behavioral, social, emotional, and even academic growth, whichever one the students' needs are highest. Okay, so now we're going to look at the 3 tiers. So tier 1, this is universal. This is prevention for all students. This supports everyone. It establishes a foundation for proactive support for educators and students. The support is differentiated, and it enables about 80% or more students to experience success. This is groundwork that all schools, all students receive. So tier 2, it's targeted secondary, so only 10 to 15% of students are upgraded to tier 2. It is the added layer of systems, data is increased, and practice targeting specific needs for those students who need that. And then we get to tier 3. This is the individualized, intense tier. It is the top tier. So only 1 to 5% of students who tier 1 and 2 supports the needs were not met, then they will be upgraded to tier 3. So students will receive very custom, intense support, and whether special education services are received or not, If this is needed, this will be available to students. Okay, so tier 1, we're going to go into a little depth on that. So there is a leadership team for each tier. Okay, so they intervene early before behavior escalates, monitors all school data, and action planning and tracking progress, improve conditions for learning through evidence-based practice. So again, this is ground level. These teams are going to be made up of teachers, school board member, just people in the community, mostly educators. And key practices, they define and teach school-wide positive expectations. Again, that's for educators. They're coming up with these expectations, where you see, I don't know, let's say Waxahachie ISD, it would be WISD, school-wide expectations. This would be another one that would be labeled under tier 1. So this is very consistent, not just with the classroom rules and expectations, but it is also correctly aligned with the office and higher up. The expectations are very much aligned. Okay, and here we jump up to tier 2. So the leadership team, they are going more in depth and reviewing data as to why these students are making it up to this tier. Model for school personnel. So these are the people that are on this leadership team. They are modeling for those students what and who should be. They will be distributing information and organizing and promoting professional learning. So these will be the people that will be doing some of the training. So key practices done in this tier is, first you got to start off with a strong tier 1 foundation. Increased instruction and practice, self-regulation. So with this jump, there is increased instruction for these students who have to have that specialized need. Increased adult supervision, more than likely, like stated before, that there is, I don't want to say an issue, but there is a reason why they are on tier 2, so we are supervising more because we need that data, we need to collect that data in order to see what's going on here and how we can improve. And they're also big on pre-corrections because we do not want to have students go to tier 3 because we would rather have them go back down to tier 1. And again, with the adult supervision, we are also going to increase academic support because more than likely, if it roots from behavior, then that is also, it might conjoin with academic behavior. So we are going to increase both of those supports. Tier 3, okay, so this is led by behavior expertise, usually admin or authority in school. So that would be the assistant principal, if it is behavioral, then you'll have your school police. It will be taken to that extent when you think of the higher-ups that is the one taking care of these issues. Okay, so there's 2 key practices that were done in tier 3 and seem to be pretty effective. It is an FBA, it is a functional behavior assessment. So it is a formal process for identifying interventions most successful for students. This is done, it prevents unwanted behavior and teaching appropriate behavior to correct and fix that. And also too, it was really neat that I saw, it's called a wraparound service. So this is a custom service that is done as natural support. So there is a team there for this child. It is usually adults whom they trust. So family, friends, teachers, adults that they trust. And so the first step is the team preps and comes together and sees what is the issue and how can we fix this. And so they come up with a plan, they implement this, they meet with the student and see where we can build up and go from there. And a transition, so hopefully that if FBA hasn't worked and wraparound service comes second, then luckily we can move back down to tier 2. Okay, so this was a really neat link that I actually found on the PBIS website. They have an interactive support. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so on their website, they have where you can start looking at behavior. So let's say we have a student with name calling that struggles with that. Okay, hold on one second. Let's go back. Okay, and this has a list of examples of what the student may do in school. So if they're saying inappropriate words, being sarcastic, having verbal conflicts, racial stereotypical. I mean, we know what name calling is, and so that just gives examples here. And so let's say, okay, my thing's not going to work today. 1 second. Okay, and so this has tier 1 interventions for name calling. It lists a few examples. It's kind of a step-by-step. It's really neat. So it says before you start, a few important points. Try multiple interventions, collect and traffic specific data, and what works and what doesn't, what is the effect. As a big thing, I said data is how we're keeping on that. Interventions, and it has a list of different things you can try. And you can click and go into it and see more of what they do. Oh, okay, also this is a big thing too. So you can see all of the tier 1 interventions. And here they have example like blank data tracking forms and strategies for each of the ones that was listed. And then next it says, I've tried tier 1 for at least 6 months, take me to tier 2. So it takes you to tier 2, shows interventions there, and the list, it just keeps going until you get, to tier 3. So I thought that was very interesting that they have that on their website where you can try that, and it's free to anybody. So. Application to future position. So I am looking at becoming an elementary school teacher, and so this can be very useful in my position as a teacher. Like we just saw, the tier 1, you're seeing real life situations happen, and it is very effective as data driven. I have actually had the amazing opportunity to observe at a school district who implements this, and it works very well. So the first thing, create predictable classroom routine for students. If they know their expectations, they are going to go by that and follow that because they know if they don't, what happens next. It applies active supervision. We're big on that. We got to collect data, so we're going to supervise. So yeah, it's just that they have clear expectations, they acknowledge expected behavior, and also too, the training for PBIS practices are also very great and handy to have as an educator. So I believe I would be able to apply that to my future position as being a teacher. Great, thank you.